This is a basic introduction to how to make nouns and adjectives agree in Greek. And one of the first principles we'll have to keep in mind is that nouns and adjectives agree in three regards: in gender, in number, and in case. Let's start by thinking about gender. Every Greek noun has its own inherent gender. So, hatheos is a noun which is masculine, hephone is feminine, and ta teknon is neuter. A noun's given gender doesn't ever change. And in fact, the article is the surest indication of a noun's grammatical gender, which is to say we will encounter nouns that don't look obviously masculine, feminine, or neuter, but they will always have one of these three articles, and the article will always be a true indication of a noun's underlying gender. Adjectives, unlike nouns, do change gender to agree with their noun. So one and the same word, agathos, will adjust its form to agree in gender, number, and case with the noun it goes with. Here's a full chart of the noun agathos, and you can see that in addition to having different gender, it also has different number and case. So we can make hatheos agree with agathos because hatheos is masculine and we've chosen a masculine noun. Phone is feminine and we'll pick a feminine adjective. Teknon is neuter and we'll pick the neuter adjective. So far so good. Things become a bit more complicated if we take a noun that's not in the nominative case. So let's take an expression like eis tein phonein, toward the voice. First we have to analyze what is its gender. Well, its gender is feminine, and that means that in the adjective chart we're only concerned about the feminine column. What's its number? Its number is singular, and so we can reduce our options still further. And what is its case? Well, phonein is accusative, so we narrow our options down to the accusative, and we have a match. Eis tein phonein, tein agathein is how we would say toward the good voice, or toward the nice sound. Let's do this once more. En te hado. You'll see that we've made matters a teeny bit more complicated here. What is the gender of en te hado? Well, in this case, it's actually a feminine noun. Don't be deceived by the hado ending. This is a feminine noun of the second declension. Remember, the article never lies. The feminine article is a true indicator that this is a feminine noun. So again, it's feminine, so we're looking for a feminine adjective. It's singular, so we're looking for a singular adjective. And the case this time is dative, so we're looking for a dative adjective. And en te hado te agathe agrees, even though those don't look alike. Let's say a bit more about that. Quite often, especially in the nominative, especially in the first and second declension, our nouns and our adjectives often look alike. So we have hatheos agathos, hephone agathe, ta teknon agathon. But they don't have to look alike, as our example, en te hado te agathe, illustrated. Let's practice just a little bit more with nouns that don't look like their adjective and think about in what sense they truly do agree. So this time, let's take another noun that's not totally transparent as regards to its gender. If we wanted to form the adjective from agathos that agreed with that, what would it be? It would be to agatho. So here is the declension for prophet. Ha prophetes, tu prophetu, to prophete. And we start with a nominative and we come down to the dative singular. In a similar way, here's our full chart of agathos in all of its forms. Now we're only going to be interested in the masculine possibilities because we're dealing with a masculine noun. And we'll start with the masculine singular and we'll come down to the dative singular. For me, this notion of agreement because a noun and an adjective occupy the same respective place in their chart is a helpful way to think about the underlying agreement between forms that don't look identical. Now, we have established that adjectives don't have any inherent gender, but they do have word-specific declensional patterns. That's a mouthful, but I'll unpack it a little bit more. Let's take an adjective like agathos. Obviously, it can be all three genders. Here's how it forms its masculines, its feminines, and its neuters. We're going to notice the feminines in particular form with etas, a normal first declensional set of eta endings. So that's true for agathos. However, if we were to take a different adjective like mikros, it has a word-specific declensional pattern. It also has masculines, feminines, and neuters, but you'll notice that its feminine forms form with an alpha rather than with an eta. That's specific to the adjective mikros. So if we just compare our feminines, which are the only things that are different, we see that adjectives like mikros use alphas throughout, adjectives like agathos use etas throughout. What's that going to mean for making an adjective agree with a noun? Well, let's come back to our example with eis tein phonein. We already successfully conjugated that with agathos. We have to ask about the noun first. What's its gender? It's feminine. So we're going to just look at the feminine adjectives. What's its number? It's singular. Well, we're already in the singular. That's all I put on the page. And what is its case? It's accusative. So there's our winner. There's the feminine singular accusative form of agathein. Eis tein phonein agathein. If, however, we want to take this same noun and make it agree with mikros, we'll ask the same questions, and mikros has its own pattern. All right, it's feminine. Here's our feminines. It's singular. Here's our singulars. And it's accusative. There's our accusative, which means the correct way to make our adjective agree with our noun in this case is eis tein phonein mikron. So that's a strange state of affairs because we have two properly formed expressions. Phonein is the same in both cases, but mikron and agathein don't look alike. But you can see that in each case, they occupy the same respective place in their paradigm. And in that sense, mikron really is the feminine accusative singular. Agathein really is the feminine accusative singular. Hence, they both really agree with phonein. Their similarity appears even more clearly when we look on the full paradigm. So mikron, agathein, mikron, agathein. They occupy the same respective place within their paradigm. We've been illustrating the ways in which adjectives have their own word-specific declensional patterns. We've looked at just two so far, mikros and agathos. What if instead of the word mikros, we introduced a new adjective, dikaios? Well, it looks like its masculines and its neuters are going to be easy enough. They're like second declensions. But how is it going to form its feminines? Is it going to be like agathe, or is it going to be like mikra? The answer is it's going to be like mikra. And what these adjectives have in common is the termination of their stem. Adjectives whose stem, that is, you lop off the declensional ending, if their stem ends in iota or in rho, they're going to form their feminines with alphas. If we got rid of agathos and we tried a new adjective like kalos, we could say it's certainly going to form its feminines with eta because its stem does not end in iota or rho. Its stem ends in a consonant, hence it'll conjugate like agathe. What if we just try one more adjective like alethes? Now you notice that has a funny ending, ace. Is this word going to go here like agathos? It doesn't look like any of those forms. Is it going to go here like mikros? Oh dear, we have a problem. We have a third declension adjective. All right, not to panic. Third declension adjectives like alethes are also word specific in their formation. It just happens to be that they're quite a lot different from first and second declension adjectives. This is the paradigm, and you can see that one of the most noteworthy things about third declension adjectives is that the masculine and the feminine are different from the neuter, but are identical to each other. So you often simply write the paradigm with the masculine/feminine form and the neuter separate. I'm putting them in 3 columns because it lets us play our old game the same way. So say we want to take this paradigm and we want to make our old expression ace tane phonane agree. Well, we're going to say what's the gender? It's feminine. Here's my feminine column. What's the number? It's singular. Here's my singular cluster. And it's accusative. There's my accusative. So apparently, aletheia, even though that looks different than other adjectives we're used to, that is the correct way to make the adjective aletheis agree with phonane. Ace tane phonane, tane aletheia means toward or into the true voice. Let's do just one more example with a third declension adjective. This time our noun will be tu prophe tu in an expression like ek tu prophe tu. So first we have to recognize what our noun is. Here's our chart. We can see that it is a masculine noun. It has the article ha. We can see that it's singular and it's genitive. So our adjective needs to be masculine, it needs to be singular, and it needs to be genitive. And there we have a match. Ek tu prophe tu alethus, from the true prophet. Our adjective doesn't look like its noun, but they do occupy the same respective places in their charts.